Hello, hello, and welcome, or should I say ho, 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 Christmas cousins. I'm Cousin Chad, and it's normally at this time where Cousin Seth would be saying, hey, I'm Cousin Seth, and we'd be talking about how on this show, I'm the Christmas and the seasonal enthusiast, and I love it all, and Cousin Seth was doing none of it, so we took a journey for me to show my love of the holidays and the seasons and broadcast it all, and he's become a big superstar. It's been amazing. But today he's not here. He had an issue with some pumpkin overnight oats that he had that aren't sitting well, is what I believe, although he says he's working. But we have a Christmas superstar in his own right. I believe Time Magazine refers to him as possibly the sexiest man in Christmas 2024.
I got it?
Yeah, you got it.
Oh
yes,
my gosh, I didn't know.
Right.
I hadn't gotten the email yet.
Breaking the news to you. I had the magazine right here. Bran from Deck the Hallmark and Christmas Morning. Welcome, Bran. Thrilled to have you on.
Thank you for having me. I'm thrilled to be here. Listen, the holidays are busy for Christmas podcasters, but there's no place I'd rather be than talking to you right now.
Thank you very much. And Bran, I was listening to your newest episode of Deck the Hallmark this morning. I'm a huge fan. I'm a huge fan of Christmas Morning as well.
Thank you.
As I've mentioned. And one thing that you'll get on this show that you don't get on that show, where they were making fun of your choices, your reading, your pronunciation of the word amicable. On this show, Bran, you're going to get respect. And you can say amicable however you'd like.
That's nice. It's a nice change of pace for me. I'm not used to getting the respect that some are saying. I don't know. Some are saying I deserve it, but
everyone's saying you deserve it. All the generals are saying it. Everyone's saying it. Yeah. And you know what? That's why until you get the respect you deserve, I won't have Dan on the show. He emails daily to get on.
I know he does. I just talked to him about it too. He was like, hey, can you put in a good word? And I said, no, give me one space that's just for me.
Yeah, exactly. Right. Yes. Where you can be who you want to be. But so today we're going to take a very nostalgic, cozy deep dive, Bran, because you literally make your living, in a sense, out of Christmas. And it's a rarefied air. It's a great space. You're living your dream, which is amazing and an inspiration to all of us. So this is an ongoing series we have called My Favorite Christmas Ever. And we have people who talk about what in their formative years made them love Christmas today. But you in particular, you're known for your Christmas cheer. You're known for your passion. So I want to take a deep dive and see what sparked this holiday passion. And what was it that just made you into this Christmas enthusiast you are today? What were the surprises, the sights, the feels, the smells, so you can relive it. Our audience can vicariously relive it. And it's going to be a lot of fun. Bran, I venture to say it's going to be a little bit of a Christmas and a little bit of a party. Are you ready to dance, Bran? Let's dance. Oh, yeah.
Christmas.
Oh, yeah.
Is this a Christmas version of that?
I don't think so. It's whatever was on freesoundeffects.com or wherever I found it.
Well, we'll make it. Cool. We'll make it Christmassy. Christmas.
I think so. Christmas. Yeah. You could have do like one of the intros you do on Christmas morning for the segments during the monthly party.
Yes. Yeah, I could have done that. Yeah. But listen, that's hard work. I do hours of prep for those intros, and so I would have needed a lot of heads up there.
I can tell. One of the recent episodes you played out of a soda can, I believe, and I knew you would practice 10,000 hours.
It was an inspired choice. It came to me in a dream. I woke up in the middle of the night and I got straight to work on practicing that. Because I think anybody that has ever tried to do something like that, where you make a soda can an instrument, you know that takes a ton of work. Right. And you got to put in the work, and that's what I'm all about.
That's it. And now even at Guitar Center, there's an entire section of soda cans that are all being sold for 5 times the price ever since that episode. But that's the kind of influencer you are, Bran. But we're not here just to talk about your musical talents. We are here to get right into it with Christmas, your favorite Christmas ever. And I want to go back and just start exactly from the beginning if we can. So what exactly made you? So let's start. What are we talking about for your favorite Christmas ever? Was there a specific year, or is it an amalgam of different years? What do we?
Yeah, it is a bit of a hodgepodge. I am notorious for not having a good memory. I only have like little bits and pieces of things. I'm like, I remember this moment, but my family will get together and they'll talk about things. And I'm like, I don't know what you're talking about, but I'm sure you're telling the truth. So it's hard to say if everything that I remember about the holidays growing up happened on a specific year or if it's a mess of years. But I do remember very clearly. I think loving Christmas a bit more than everybody else in my family growing up, and it became pretty
Okay.
clear early on for sure.
Okay, so even at you're talking toddler age, right? Growing up in Titusville in Florida on the Space
That's right.
Coast,
That's
right
right. Yeah.
away.
Yeah. I remember growing, like 7, 8, 9 in that realm, waking up and finding, how you used to record things on VHSs.
Hmm.
And that's where we kept all of our Christmas specials that we would watch every year. And I would always be the one pushing the limit on when we would bust those tapes out because, like most people, my brothers, I have 3 brothers, 1 sister. So it was a big house. And like most people, they want to watch it, in December.
Weirdos.
And I know it's weird. And I would be trying to bust those tapes out I was already pushing the limits as a kid. I was trying to go
Wow.
pre-Thanksgiving. Nothing crazy. Nowadays Hallmark starts in October. I wasn't even trying to do that. I was just getting antsy as we approached the Thanksgiving holiday. And I'd be busting out those tapes, but I would wake up really early and I would put one of them on so that I wouldn't get made fun of by my older brothers. Just so I wanted a little safe space of Christmas joy. And so I think I knew, or like just almost like the shame of as a kid of being like, I think this is weird how much I like Christmas. And so I'm just going to kind of hold it to myself here.
Right, get up early. Right, so they wouldn't make fun of you. However, Brand, who's laughing now? Presumably they're at their real jobs and you're sitting here talking Christmas on a weekday morning, which is
I know.
wonderful.
My oldest brother's in the Air Force like a nerd. Come on, get out of here.
I know. Who's doing more to help the country, really? I mean, let's think
That's
about it.
a great point. A lot of people walk up to me and they say, "Thank you for your service." And I say,
Yes,
"You're welcome."
exactly.
Yeah.
Does he listen to you like while he's flying a jet? That would be amazing.
Yeah,
Like listen
I
to the
can't
pod.
imagine that he would do that, but we haven't really talked about it. I have a feeling that none of my family listens to what I do, and I'm okay
They
with
don't
that.
even know what you do.
They don't
They
even
think you're
know.
kidding. Right.
Yes, yeah,
Now, I understand that's your hobby, Brand, but what do you actually do? I'm
that's
sure is
right.
a question you get often.
That's right.
So, okay, so this is your early years. You remember loving Christmas maybe more than the average person. But was there one in particular that you remember, or just an age range, maybe 8 to 10? And I get that a lot. This is the seventh in this series that we've done, and generally it's not one, but it's
Yeah.
an age range that they have. So where you really remember going, okay, now I'm a little more in control of what I want and can say it. And did that happen, or is it just your whole childhood?
No, for sure. It's kind of in that like 8 to 12 range probably. I remember I began to change the family computer, the background of the, when you used to have just one computer in your household and it would be in the
Yeah.
family room. I would change the background of it around like September 16th when it would be 100 days to Christmas. And I would create in Microsoft Paint, I would create a countdown, like just the numbers 100 to 0. And I would
Right.
go in every day into Paint. I would cross one of them off and I would update the family computer.
Every
And it
day.
was a bit of a war because, my it's a family computer. So my brothers would come in and they would change it to, something normal. But yeah, that was something that I began doing as early as once you start kind of messing around with like Microsoft Paint and stuff like that, you're like, well, I'm gonna make this into something Christmassy. And so right away, I was constantly thinking of ways that I could have a little jolt of Christmas in my everyday life, which I guess is a weird thing to do. I don't know.
Well, it's a harbinger of certainly where your life went, which is fascinating. And you were almost just waiting for the technology to catch up with your love. So you had a place to express it. There was no YouTube yet. There's
Yeah.
no podcasting yet. If you were born 20 years before, you would just be the weird guy in the cubicle with all the like overly decorated in September.
That's right. And it's true. Like I don't remember the years that we did this, but me and my closest in age brother, Patrick, we would put together this like go, like, I guess it's kind of like a go bag, like we would have this little container that we would put like a schedule of what we're going to do on Christmas morning. And put a flashlight in there. We would be very prepared for how we're going to do things. And so the schedule would be like 4 a.m. wake up, 4:15 talk about what you think Santa brought, 4:30 go and get your Santa thing.
You were outlining a podcast episode.
I was, yes, 100%. And we would we would do the thing, and we would talk about what we are hoping that we get. We would talk about what we got. We would do all these things, and it was very, like, it was outlined and it was planned. I've never planned for anything in my life. But apparently, if it's Christmas, all bets are off. I'm the most organized person in the world if it regards to Christmas. And we started doing that when I probably right around that same age. And so even though he doesn't share my complete affinity for all things Christmas, he was down at least for that Christmas morning to, wake up early with me and talk through in detail our dreams and our wishes, and whether or not they came true. Yeah.
Do you have a copy? I would love to look at the details. If you could see it, like, okay, 5:05, like, how accurate was it? We're reading a native deodorant ad or something. Like, I want to see exactly how you do. You don't have copies of this?
Oh, I don't think so. I don't think that I would, but yeah, it was like we would literally put a flashlight in the container so that we would be able to go out and get our Santa gift and have a light. And I would go in and I would make sure the batteries worked. I was very intense. Wow. I was very focused on making sure that everything was good to go. So that was, I think, an early on, maybe a could have been a clue of what was to come for my life, because I just love talking about Christmas, and still doing it to this day.
Yeah, everyone else in Florida at that time, at your age, had a go bag that had like water, safety gear. They open yours, it's like jingle bells and wrapping paper. They should have known. Emergency eggnog.
They should have known, 100%. Yeah, who needs a sandbag? Get out of here.
Right. They emptied it and it's just cocoa powder. It's
that's right.
You didn't fit in. You didn't. They knew you were something special there.
That's right.
So let's talk about the setting itself. So these are let's say your few favorite Christmases from 8 to 12. You're still in Florida at the time because you didn't move to South Carolina until you were an adult.
That's right.
So the mornings you wake up. So you did. What did you do for Christmas Eve? Really fast. Was that a big thing?
It was never a huge thing. We would always watch Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer on Christmas Eve night. That was the one thing that you could definitely count on. And then we would each kind of like pick, another thing or something to watch, but that was a rotating catalog. But, I think we would go to a church service and all that stuff. And in the neighborhood that's, I spent a good bit of my childhood, probably like 10 to when I graduated high school. They would do these luminaries. Like, you would go down and you would get these bags of sand with candles, and they would line the streets in the neighborhood.
Beautiful.
And so that was really cool. I don't think they still do that to this day, but they did back then. And it was a really cool thing. You would kind of, unless it rained that night, which it did sometimes, and then it would be really sad when you woke up on Christmas morning. It's just a bunch of ruined bags on the side of the street. But the Christmas Eve night would be just a beautiful lining of the streets. And as I got a little bit older, like in my teenage years, and I could kind of do a little bit more of what I wanted to, like, I'd hop on the bike with a buddy and we'd go out and look at Christmas lights or something like that around the neighborhood. But Christmas Eve there was never like a hard and fast thing aside from the Rudolph. Rudolph was the staple.
That must have been nice for your parents. You're a teenager and you're grabbing your friends and you're like the Pied Piper of Christmas, getting them to go look at Christmas lights, and other kids that age are maybe going, let's go try to snag some beers and whatever. And you're sitting there riding around looking at the lights and the luminaries.
I wouldn't dare get beer. Are you kidding me right now? I wouldn't dare.
For everyone listening, listen to Bran, all the children listening. This is exactly what we like to hear.
I think it should be I'm not even cool enough to have had the thought to go get it.
You just wanted to see the lights. Well,
I
look
just want
how
to
it
see the
served you.
lights. That's
So
right.
you have your Christmas Eve sets it up. There's great tone. The whole neighborhood's feeling the vibe. You're waking up these Christmas mornings. First thing, let's go right back. Very first thing when you wake up in the morning, your eyes pop open and you realize, oh my gosh, it's Christmas. I've been waiting for this. It's actually Christmas morning.
Yeah.
Take us right to that scene. You're feeling where you were at the time and what you did right after first thing you got out of bed.
Yeah, well, I mean, I had to get my go bag, of course. I had to
Get your
get my
right,
container. I'd
yes.
wake up my brother Patrick. We would do our thing with Santa. And then when the rest of we weren't allowed to wake mom and dad up until 7 a.m. To open
Mm,
up presents. A ridiculous rule. One that I
yeah.
have not put in place with my kids, and maybe I should.
What time
But
do they wake you on Christmas? And they're
Oh,
younger, right? But
yeah, I have a 6 and a 4-year-old. I think last year it was just before 6 a.m.
okay, it's fair.
Yeah,
That's
it's fair.
reasonable.
That's reasonable. And they
Yeah.
do that anyway. So it's not like it was it
Right.
was special. But once 7 a.m. would hit, we would begin to wake mom and dad up. And then my brother
Well,
Jo-
can
go ahead.
I have
Yeah.
to ask this. So if you're up at say 5 or 6, this must have been interminable for you to wait. Like with all this excitement, all this energy, what were you
It was
doing?
the
Say it was just an
worst.
hour.
It was the
Yeah.
worst. First of all, every we would plan for the show to go for like an hour. It would go 10 minutes. We're not
Right.
like we'd be like, what do you think Santa's going to get you? We would think it was going to go for 15 minutes. It would go for like 2 minutes. And so then we'd be like, do we wait until the 5:15 or do we just go for it? And then you can't wait. You're a kid. And so
Right.
we would eat candy. We would, if the Santa toy was something that you could play with, we would play with it and just kind of hang around, probably sneak a cookie, a Christmas cookie or something, just trying to do anything to pass the time. But you're right. It felt like an eternity. It felt like,
Right.
and I remember just being like, I can probably wake him up now, right? It's 6:30. It's close enough. No,
Close enough, right?
can't.
And but then I'm sure then you woke them up, and now all of a sudden they're like, okay, we'll be right there. We've got to get our coffee.
Oh my
We're pouring
gosh.
our coffee. We're
The
having
good
right. I
coffee.
mean, so then you're like, oh, is this ever happening? So you can't even look downstairs yet because they want you to see your expression, right? So you're just kind of stuck upstairs. God forbid you're thirsty or hungry. You're sitting there. It's amazing you love Christmas because that first hour was brutal.
It was
So
brutal. It was brutal. Luckily they would allow us to go and get the Santa gift before they were up. If that
right.
wasn't the case, and I don't know, Santa works in mysterious ways. I know other people have different experiences with their Santa gift. Our Santa gift was always unwrapped. It was always, just there with like a bow on it with our names on
Okay.
it. And weirdly enough, our names would be written and it was our mom's handwriting, which was really weird. And I think
Oh.
she must have been helping him out in some form or fashion.
He gets carpal tunnel by the
Yeah,
time he
well,
reaches the East Coast. Yeah.
he can't write
Right.
everybody's name all around the world. That's just crazy.
Right.
Um,
That's crazy.
that's crazy. So he
Right.
gets the moms and the dads to help out in that very specific
Right.
realm. And so we would be able to go and get that. And then you're right. Yeah. Once mom and dad are have been awakened, you're not allowed to correct me. I've been
No
told that you're not
respect on
allowed
this show. Yeah.
that they would come out and it felt once again like another eternity. You're right. The coffee had to be poured and all that good stuff. And listen, I love Jesus. Jesus is great. Big fan. My parents would have my brother Josh, who's the middle child, read the Christmas story from the Bible because he's the best reader of the family. He would never get hung up on awoken or awaken or whatever.
Right. To this day, he's the best reader still to this day.
He's written some books as well. So it's
Really? Wow.
it's done good for him.
Okay.
But he would read that. And, as a kid, you're just like, yeah, I saw Charlie Brown do it. I saw Linus read the thing. Why do we got to do this thing? And so that felt like another eternity, even though it was
Right.
probably 5 minutes. And Josh doesn't want to read. He's tired. He doesn't want to read it. But it would happen. And then finally it was time to open presents. And I know a lot of people, like we in my house now with my kids, we have them take turns, and we try to have it be a little bit more of a slow adventure, and appreciating and enjoying all of the gifts and all that good stuff. That wasn't the way I grew up. When I grew up, it was a mad dash. It was all things, all people. You go as fast as you want to, and so the actually opening of the presents never took very long, because I just go. But I was once again, not organized in any other way aside from Christmas. Leading up to Christmas, I would go and I would organize the gifts around the tree by name, so that they were, you don't have to on Christmas morning, hey, do I have another gift? Where is it? This is your section. And I really cared. I put in the work. And so, it never took very long to open the presents. But that was okay, because at least you had something that we could play with for.
Well, that's interesting that you implement now, where everyone takes their turn and have it more of a slow burn. And I totally agree. We do that in my household, because we had a year where my kids tore everything up. I'm like, kids, I'm listening to 2-hour Christmas movie preview shows. We can't do 5 minutes for the gifts and wait another year.
That's right.
You have to take your time and go, because you want to see everybody's reaction per gift. So
I know
everyone can enjoy it.
As a parent now, like I wish that my parents kind of did utilize that, because like there's nothing more amazing than watching your kid open up a gift and be so excited and pumped and all that stuff.
Yes.
And so I do remember, in the midst of the chaos and all of us opening our presents at the same time, that my mom and my dad, they wouldn't open anything. They would just watch. And so even though they didn't get to see the one, everybody taking a turn and all that good stuff, they would still just, I'm sure they had a gift or two or whatever that they could have opened during that time, but they just wanted to watch and sit.
And they just waited. Right.
Yeah,
well, before we get into what specific gifts are, I want to know, so what are exactly any sights and sounds going on this morning? Is there the smell of coffee, Christmas candles? Is there a specific music playing? What was the setting like, or was it completely focused on just the gifts?
We would put on the Christmas radio station, which in Florida and Central Florida was Magic 107.7. Shout out to the Magic 107.7. They would, and can I just really back up really quickly? Again, I'm just having this memory of this. To talk about how I'm organized in no other way aside from Christmas. I would, badger the Magic 107.7 folks to find out when they were going to switch to Christmas. I would call, once I was able to email, I would email. And on many occasions, I would find out when they were doing it. And I would have my little cassette player, and I have my little cassette tape, and I would record the moments that the
Oh, wow.
So it would be like a virgin, and then finally it would transition into the most wonderful time of the year. And
what a transition too. What a segue that was.
Yeah, but
makes sense.
You have to sometimes.
There is a virgin in the story going on here.
That's true. Sense. It's a good transitional song. Not a lot of people think about that.
Or they don't think it's a Christmas song.
They don't think about it that way. But yeah, I do. I have it on good authority. That's what the song's about. That's probably blasphemy, and I apologize to anyone out there. So I was you would have the Magic 107.7 on. My mom would always make Christmas cookies, not on Christmas morning, but leading up to Christmas, and so there would always be cookies around. And then in my high school years, for some reason, me and my brother Josh began a tradition called the bacon hunt. And we would not buy bacon before Christmas morning. We would have to go out and find an establishment that was open on Christmas morning so that we could buy bacon. And the rule was you can never go back to the same place twice. So once a place has had the bacon purchased, it is now off the list. And so you have to find a new place. And, I think we did this 6 or 7 or 8 times, and it was it got harder as the years went on, because Titusville's not a big town. So,
Right. And not a lot open on Christmas.
Not a lot open on Christmas. And if they are open, do they you might find a gas station, but does the gas station have bacon? Who knows?
Right. You by year 8, you'd have to go to Orlando.
Yeah, we ended up at one point heading to the Winn-Dixie in Mims, which is a place you never want to go. And so I think that we finally called it quits after that. And just
this would be after gifts, before breakfast. You would do the bacon hunt.
That's right.
Wow.
That's right.
Okay. Yeah. That's a new one.
It's a new
just
one.
you and your brother, while everyone else would relax and stay.
Yeah, whatever they were doing. And so, and I think on the earlier years, my dad probably drove or whatever, but it became a tradition with me and him that we would go and we would find the bacon. And at a certain point, we just said, "What if we bought the bacon ahead of time? What if we made this easier on ourselves?" It never occurred to us to do this. But yeah, that was a fun little tradition that started a little bit later.
That is fun. And you had the music going, Magic 107 playing as you were looking for the bacon. Okay, that's fun. That makes it cool. So you and your brother probably still reference that on Christmas today. Do you spend Christmas with them now, or no? With your own
we do. We have luck. I'm lucky to have my parents and 2 of my brothers living in town here in South Carolina now. My oldest brother and my sister, they live out of town, so I don't get to see them on Christmas. But we do at some point during Christmas, and it changes. Sometimes it's Christmas Eve, sometimes it's Christmas Day, but we do all get together and have a bit of a moment. The last few years they've come over on Christmas morning, which has been great. So we'll have our thing with our kids, and then my side of the family will come over and have breakfast and have bacon and open some more gifts and all that good stuff. And then we'll go to my wife's family in the evening. So it's a full day, but it's not. I like it. I wouldn't have it any other way.
In 20 years, we'll have to interview the Gray children and see what their favorite Christmases ever were, and see what lines up with yours. What aligns?
That's true. And I never want to force it on them, but it would fill me with pride to hand over the keys to Christmas morning or whatever to Grizz or Gav and have them carry the mantle of Christmas love. They do. I mean, listen, they do like Christmas, but it's, they're still young. It's every kid likes Christmas. But it takes a special kid to build that obsession. And so we'll see.
Plus, it's tough to go into the space where you're such a luminary. They don't want to be like the Frank Sinatra Jr. or the Julio Iglesias Jr. They want to be their own person. They may have to go with a whole new holiday. They may have to go with Easter.
I'd allow it, I'd whatever they want to do is great.
Of course.
I support it.
Yes. Well, I love that. So you have all these various traditions going on. You're doing, let's go back to when you're between 8 and 12, you're doing the gifts now. I assume your parents are enjoying coffee, watching you. You have the radio playing, the music's going. Are there any scents going on? Is anything cooking, any candles? Because I know we always make, have a fire going or Christmas candles going.
Yeah, we didn't have a fireplace. It's Florida, so didn't happen. But we, my mom would start cooking something, but it was a little bit later in the day. It was typically like a roast of sorts. And that was always wonderful. But I do remember one specific Christmas. My extended family lives in Maine. And so we did live there for a few years between my ages of 4 and 6. So it wasn't for very long. But then we went back up there when I was 8 or 9. So it was a very important Christmas, and there was so much snow on the ground. We went out and we got a Christmas tree from my grandma's back. Like, she lived up against the woods. So we went out, me and my brothers, and we found a tree and brought it in. And so, and then she had a fireplace, and the memories of learning how to make a fire and how cool it was that you could put in a magazine with green, and it would turn the flames green. Find out that that's actually what's caused all the hurricanes this year. Apparently you're not supposed to do that. Not good for the environment, but
that's right.
Really cool as a kid to make colorful flames. And that was also
right above Grandma's house is a hole in the ozone directly above it. Just a small, like 2,000 square foot hole.
It's small, but it's mighty. It's a mighty hole. And that was the year that I got a Razor scooter, which was big, a big deal for me. And I know. I know.
Definitely.
I know. And I remember, because there's snow outside, I couldn't really ride it around the outside. And so I would literally just take it for loops on she kind of had a living room, kitchen, dining room, and there was a wall in between, but there was a circle that you could make. And so I just kept
Right.
going around in circles. She had a record
Feel.
player. Yeah, she
Oh,
had a
okay.
record player and would have the Christmas records going. And so I do think that specific Christmas is a pretty important one for me, and just kind of
Yes.
locking in like I don't know what it is about what's happening right now that's making me feel the way that I'm feeling, but I love this feeling, and
Yeah.
I want to chase this feeling of Christmas joy as much as possible.
Yeah, I think we pinpointed here on Christmas therapy, which is what I'm calling it now, because we've
Sure.
gone back and we've unveiled maybe the formative memory that you have. It's all coming together because you had, as a youth, loved Christmas before getting to that main Christmas. And then you got there and experienced it. It was just like the snow globe you pictured,
That's right.
and you got to do the snow, you got to do the tree. Now I see why you love the movies. All you need to do is fall in love with someone in the woods there, and you had your own Hallmark movie there. It's
I
all
know.
coming together. My mind is blown, Brandon. You had a major breakthrough
It's a
here.
major breakthrough. And a lot of people
Wow.
will ask me, like growing up in Florida where it's hot and almost like the opposite of your picture perfect Christmas, how did you fall in love with Christmas? And I do think a big part of it is that Christmas that wasn't in Florida. It was in Maine, and
Right.
it was snowy, and it was adventurous. And, remembering that my grandma used to put way too much tinsel on the tree, but it was also kind of perfect,
Right.
with the colored lights that they don't make anymore because they cause fires, especially with all the tinsel. And so it was all those little things that it was the perfect storm. I already loved the season, obviously, and then just this one Christmas where there was just so much snow in my mind. Outside there was a blizzard. I don't know if there was,
Right.
but it was a magical year.
Okay, I love it. So we're pinpointing. And the funny thing is, too, as much as you love that, you also had this brand new scooter where now you're going, you know what? I'd kind of like to be in Florida and get to go scoot outside. So you had the best of both worlds because you didn't have to wait, until spring, thaw to use that also. So you did
Yeah.
have that. So what would you do now, whether it's the main one or back at the Florida ones? You're done with the gifts. What was that time frame now where right after the gifts? Are you having breakfast? Are you playing with the gifts? What's going on?
Yeah, there would be a moment of playing with the gifts while I want to say my dad would actually make breakfast that morning, but I don't want to offend my mom by throwing that out there. But I do have these vague memories of dad doing some of that on Christmas morning, and it was nothing crazy. Your eggs, your bacon, your etc. But it was something, and I think there would be cinnamon rolls involved.
Oh,
And
okay.
that would happen. And then it was just kind of like as a kid, it's just like a day to play, right? It's
Right.
just like I've got all these new things. So obviously the year that I first got a bike, that was huge. The year that I got a bunch of Hot Wheels, that was huge. That's the whole thing. And part of the fun is also seeing what everybody else gets, and getting to, play around with their stuff and all that. So it
Right.
was never a day where it was anything too crazy happened. We didn't have all these crazy um, Christmas Day traditions, but it was just the fact that the day that I had longed for was finally here, and you got to
Right.
just sit in it for a while.
With this whole swath of time with nothing to do but enjoy your gifts. And you had siblings, so you could swap gifts, play with their gifts too.
That's
So
right. And then, steal some of their candy and
yes.
whatnot. Make fun of my brother who, for some reason, my grandma one year gave him a pin, just a pin, and that was it. And
A pin of what? What was on it?
it's just an ink pen.
A pen.
Yeah. A pen.
Okay,
Yeah.
gotcha. I thought you were saying PIN, like
No,
your pin from
PEN.
okay.
I that year I remember it very vividly. I got this cool bank that you would put coins in and it would count up, and so you always knew how much money you had in your piggy bank or whatever.
Mhm.
And he got a writing utensil. So it was a pretty good year for me. Pretty good year.
Yeah, really. Yeah, that was a good. That was definitely a good score. So, what about what were there? You did mention a couple of things. Were there some gifts in particular that really stood out? You said your first bike, was that the big one?
Yeah, I mean, the one that I remember the most is the scooter, but the bike was
Okay.
also a big deal. And then also the helmet that came along with it, whatever. But yeah, those two are probably the biggest. I remember also at some point getting a skateboard. I grew up in a time where the X Games were really starting to rise.
Right.
So a lot of my interest were in the extreme sports, despite being really bad at it. So getting the scooter, getting the bike. I got a skateboard one year, but I got a Walmart skateboard, and
Yeah.
it sucked. And I
Yeah.
I
They
was
didn't roll very well.
they didn't
No.
roll very well. I'd go down to my buddy's house that had like these wheels that would spin forever, and I'd try to do the same thing. It like made one rotation and then would stop. Um, but what I found that those skateboards are useful for is if you take off the wheels and the trucks and all of that, and you just have the board itself, it's really fun to play with on the trampoline. So, my
Oh,
buddy
okay.
had a trampoline. We would go down and we would do tricks as if it was, on the ground. But
Right.
what you could do on a trampoline, you could really
All of a
get
sudden you were
crazy
like
with it.
Tony Hawk.
I
Yeah.
know,
That's
I know. I could do
okay.
anything on it. So that's what that skateboard eventually made its way into, and so it did
Right.
find some use.
Yeah, okay. And it gave you a good memory too. And that makes sense. It's probably one of those Walmart Variflexes, I think they were, something
I
like
think
that was
so.
the
Yeah,
brand. Yeah.
yeah.
So what were there any that year in particular that morning where you had a movie or song and that around that time frame that you just loved and listened to over and over or watched over and over?
Yeah, I began to watch the Christmas Story, or A
Mm,
Christmas Story, if you will, the Ralphie, the BB gun, and whatnot, with my mom. Not, but it was a later tradition. I think we started watching it when I was like 13 or 14.
mhm.
Somehow we had never seen it before, and I watched it with her, and it became a thing that we would watch together. I believe on Christmas Day, or as the day was coming to an end. And I still watch that movie to close out Christmas Day in my house. It's my last like Christmas movie that I'll watch for the year on Christmas night. I think it's the perfect,
Right down to the ending where they
right
have
down
the
to the
scene with
ending.
them. Yeah, it
It's
is.
perfect. It's the perfect ending to the Christmas season in my mind. And so I'm thankful for that tradition that's I've kind of continued.
Oh, that is, and what that's, I love that. And I think you're not alone. That's probably, I'm guessing the timing is right around when TBS had it as a marathon,
Yeah, I think
probably
I
coincides.
I think what happened was we heard about it. Like we were like, why is this movie on all the
Right.
time? And then we probably, I think, I want to say we had the DVD. So maybe, they went out and they got it, and then we watched it in that way at some point.
Right. Okay. And now what about any songs that you were playing ad nauseum that year, just over and over? You're like, or those years?
No, I had a couple of, now that's what I call Christmas CDs, and I discovered a couple of songs that Magic 1077 wasn't playing as much,
Mm.
and so I kind of gravitated towards that song. There's this Harry Connick Jr. song that I can't remember the name of right now, but uh, it must have been Old Santa, I think is the name of the
Oh,
song.
okay. Yeah.
A great song. I got there. Don't worry. Um, and there was a time period where Step Into Christmas by Elton John wasn't played
Yeah.
a ton for some reason. And I first heard it on that CD, and I would go and listen to that all the time. And some songs like that. I've always been a big fan of finding new Christmas music, which is part of the reason why on Christmas morning we do original Christmas music week, because I love finding what other people are putting out there. And so once the internet became fully out there and I found websites like Noise Trade where independent artists were putting up music and stuff like that, I became obsessed with finding the weirdest and the craziest and I've never heard something like this, but it's Christmas. And so and then I started making music myself. Me and my one of my best friends growing up, he lived on my street. He actually was the trampoline that I would jump on and do skateboard stuff. We started
Oh,
making
nice.
Christmas music together. And
How
we
old
still,
was this? As a teenager?
yeah, I think I want to say I was 16 or 17 when we
Is
started
that
doing
when
it.
you did your Mariah Carey cover?
I did do a Mariah Carey cover,
I
in fact.
know. I heard you mention it on a Christmas morning this week. I listened.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's I want to say we've been doing I got to go back, but I want to say we just did our 15th year of putting out, so like, there's
Oh,
sometimes they're
really?
full albums, sometimes they're just like four songs, but yeah, we
Original
still
stuff or covers or a mix?
it's a mix of stuff. A lot of originals, a lot of covers over the years. But yeah, it's been one of the few constants in life is every year getting together with him and, putting together some songs, whether we live in the set, he lives closer to me now. He lived for a while. He lived in New York City. And so we would do it. Like I'd record part of the song and send it to him. And
Right,
he
right.
recently moved to Asheville. And so we're able to get together and do that. And so,
You
you
should
know,
do a music battle with your songs one week.
yeah, I don't know. I always feel weird about like pimping out my own stuff for some reason, like using other things to promote other things. I don't know. I'm weird. I'm weird in that regard, but,
People would like it though.
yeah, I think so. It's fun. There's a lot of it is real bad. We started doing it. Yeah. So last year was our 15th year doing it. We
Wow, very cool.
started in 2009. And so like going back to like 2009 and listening to that stuff, I'm like, woof. And it's not like we're good now, but like, you do it for 15 years, you at least get a little bit better, hopefully. And so
Right, right.
listening back to the early stuff, you're like, oh boy, that's a tough listen. But also technology's evolved and equipment's evolved and all that good stuff. And so,
Right.
early on we were just recording with the worst of the equipments, and then slowly it gets a little bit better over the years.
We need to hear this, Bran. As the kids say, you're gatekeeping. And we need to hear this music. The world needs to hear it.
Okay, and listen, it's under the band name, The Winter Failure. That should tell you everything you need to know. And you can find it wherever you listen to music.
Wow. Okay. Coming up on the Christmas Cousins podcast, a special retrospective behind the music, The Winter Failure, coming up this December.
That's right.
That's going to be fun. So just a few more questions. I've kept you long enough. You've got about 100 movies to review and watch. So I know you're very busy. So I just want to know, a couple more questions. As the day wound down, any special activities just to cap off the day? Was it a family dinner around this time frame? What did you do in the evening?
We would end things with a nice family dinner, typically a roast of sorts. And we would have like some nice music softly in the background. And it was just a nice closing of the day. It was, when you spend all day playing, it's nice to just take a moment. But we were always a family that ate around the table. We didn't do a lot of TV dinners. And so this wasn't a rare thing, which I'm thankful for. But it was always a nice way to end the day for sure.
Love it. Yeah. Just a family cozy and shrouded together, having dinner like a Norman Rockwell painting. I love it. That's like Christmas to me. So in hindsight, what was it about these memories? Well, I guess we kind of covered it all. I guess that made it so memorable and special for you. You had that feeling. I think you said it. You wanted to kind of capture that feeling and live that year round. Is that correct? Is that what it is that made these so special and that you carry on today?
Yeah. And listen, I've been trying to figure this out forever. Like, what is it about Christmas that makes me love it and run after it in such a way that most people don't? Most people have a healthy relationship with the season and the holiday. Like, I don't know anybody that hates Christmas. Like, everybody likes it and loves it. And it's most people's favorite holiday. But there are people like ourselves that kind of take it to that different level of being like, I love this, and why keep it to this specific time of the year? Like, I want to listen to Christmas music whenever I want to. And so when when you first start doing that, you're like, feel naughty, you start being like, oh my God, am I allowed to do this? And then you realize,
Right.
yeah,
It's March.
I can do whatever I want to. And that leads to just being like, oh, are there other people like me? Like finding Christmas forums when I was in middle school and being like, oh my gosh, there's like other people that are thinking about Christmas in June. And so I don't know exactly what it is. It's hard to put it into words, but it's just this thing that makes me happy. It's the Christmas music that makes me feel good. It makes me feel safe, and
Right.
I think everybody looks for that in different ways, and they try to find it, whether it be with sports or whatever it is. But for folks like you and I think it is just something about all of it together. The music, the memories, the lights, the trees, all of it that kind of just, it feels safe. It makes you feel like a kid again. And I think that's what you and I are chasing after, is that feeling of feeling like a kid. Because being an adult kind of sucks. It's hard. It's not easy. There's lots of hardships, and there's lots of your mind is constantly chasing. And so finding something like Christmas to just be like, you know what, I know that I will always have Christmas to make me just calm. And I'm thankful that even though I've made it a career talking about Christmas movies and talking about Christmas on Christmas morning, we go daily starting November 1st. I think
Can't wait.
it would be easy for people to assume that it's no longer bringing me the joy that it once did when we started the project. And
that was a risk when you started. You didn't know when you first started.
Of course. And I think it has only fueled it more.
Wow.
I love Christmas, and I love the season. And I truly do just get so excited about, when Hallmark starts playing the Christmas movies in October, and when the new Christmas albums begin to come out, and I love it. And so I'm so thankful that I get to do it for my job, because honestly, I'd be doing it anyway. And so the fact that I get to do it and make some money doing it is really nice. And I'm so thankful.
It is. And your enthusiasm for it is infectious. That's why you've been so successful with it. That's why we all love listening. And I have to point out, without Dan staring down your throat, waiting for you to mess up, you're quite eloquent. You said that so beautifully, that whole last part. I think we should put the transcript out, maybe put on a quilt or something. It was beautiful the way you phrased that. And I think you really encapsulated what a lot of us are thinking and feeling. So thank you.
I do live in a constant state of fear. So I appreciate you for pointing that out.
This is your safe space. Don't worry. You. Well, Bran, I'm going to end it there because it was beautiful and you nailed it. I think it's been nostalgic. It's been cozy. I think we've had a bit of a party. We could end it on this high note. Thank you so much for joining. This has been wonderful, and I'm hoping you have a great holiday season, a great marathon coming up.
Thank you.
That'll be 24 hours. I'm about 4 or so hours away. I may show up. It's going on so long, say hello and turn around and drive back. So you never know. If you see me at the door, that's me.
We have room. We have room. Come join us. It's going to be fun.
I may. I'll bring donuts. That would be fun. So thank you again so much. I know this is your busy season. Much appreciated. This is awesome. Everybody check Bran out. If you haven't already, you probably have. Deck the Hallmark, Christmas Morning, and of course, the seminal album right up there with Sgt. Pepper, The Winter Failure. All their stuff is fabulous. I love the early acoustic stuff myself. Thank you. Thank you, Bran. And I will see you soon. Again, if you want to check us out at Christmas Cousins Pod on Instagram and Facebook, christmascousinspod@gmail.com. Thanks, everybody. Thank you, Bran.
Thank you. Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.